Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have a great show for you tonight. Renee Kimball is standing by to bring us music and a lovely song. And hey Renee,
hi.
Welcome to the show. And we have a couple of guests, Don Skacke from the
Cannabis Child Protection Act.
Cannabis Child Protection Act, the new Washington initiative, and Teresa Rayford, who is running for Portland City Council. We've got a lot of news and a little bit of show and tells and a couple of film clips, so stay tuned as we bring on our infamous dancing cannabis leaves.
I feel the force.
Our first hemp news story this evening is from our nation's capital. Washington, D.C. health officials last week selected 6 companies to provide medical cannabis in compliance with the District of Columbia's nascent medical marijuana law. The companies must still apply for their business license and building permits from the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs. That process is expected to take less than 2 weeks. All 6 of the successful firms will open their cultivation centers in the northeast quadrant of Washington, D.C. District City Council members authorized the establishment of medical cannabis facilities in May 2010 when they amended the Legalization of Marijuana for Medical Treatment Initiative, a 1998 municipal ballot measure which garnered 69% of the vote, yet was never implemented until now. All of the selected applicants signed a waiver releasing the City of Washington, D.C. from criminal liability if federal officials decide to take action against the facilities. In recent months, agents from the U.S. Department of Justice, Internal Revenue Service, and Drug Enforcement Administration have targeted multiple medical cannabis dispensaries, including, in some instances, those licensed by state and local officials. Our next story tonight is from the United Kingdom. The administration of THC is protective against neuronal injury in a human Parkinson's disease cell culture model, according to data to be published in the journal Neuropathology and Applied Neurobiology. Parkinson's disease is a degenerative brain disorder marked by involuntary movements. Investigators at the University of Plymouth in the United Kingdom assessed the protective properties of THC on brain cells exposed to Parkinson's disease relevant toxins. The researchers reported that THC was protective against all 3 of the toxins tested in the study. By contrast, separate administration of the non-psychotropic cannabinoid CBD, or cannabidiol, and a synthetic cannabinoid agonist were unable to elicit the same neuroprotection. Previously reported survey data of patients diagnosed with Parkinson's disease found that nearly half of the respondents who tried cannabis experienced therapeutic benefit from it, including relief of tremors and muscle rigidity. The full text of this study, Delta-9 THC, exerts a direct neuroprotective effect in a human cell culture model of Parkinson's disease, appears online in the journal Neuropathology and Applied Neurobiology. Out of San Francisco, California, the administration of a cannabinoid agonist is neuroprotective in subjects with cerebral ischemia, a condition characterized by insufficient blood flow to the brain resulting in cell death, according to data published online in the journal Neuroscience. Investigators at the University of California at San Francisco Neonatal Brain Disorder Center assessed the neuroprotective impact of a synthetic cannabinoid agonist on the brains of infant rats following cerebral ischemia. Administration attenuated infarct volume or necrosis resulting from obstructed blood flow to the brain, the authors concluded. Cumulatively, our results show that the cannabinoid agonist protects against neonatal focal stroke, in part due to inhibitory effects on microlegia. Separate studies have previously documented that the administration of organic cannabinoids, including the non-psychotropic compound CBD or cannabidiol, is protective in animal models of cerebral and cardiac ischemia, as well as alcohol-induced neurotoxicity. The full text of this study, reduced infarct size and accumulation of microglia in rats treated with a cannabinoid agonist after neonatal stroke, appears online in Neuroscience. Our next story is from Princeton, New Jersey. Drug screening results, including those from federally certified labs, may not always be reliable, according to a white paper published online by the National Work Rights Institute, or NWI. Government-certified drug testing laboratories have significant reliability problems, and that the government's assurances that false positive test results are a thing of the past is untrue, the paper concludes. The NWI paper bases its conclusion on several key findings. These include, quote, the accuracy of certified labs has never been tested, end quote. Government-certified labs do not consistently follow federally mandated procedures for lab accuracy. Federal regulations allow labs to make mistakes on 10% of the blind samples used in the certification process. Certified labs do not always maintain a proper chain of custody. According to the paper, documented examples of errors committed by federally certified labs are not uncommon. It finds, quote, in the last 4 years alone, one laboratory had its certification revoked and 3 others had their certification suspended, end quote. The paper acknowledges that federally certified labs are likely to yield more reliable results than their non-certified facilities, but cautions that their procedures still inadvertently produce false positive results. The full text of this paper, the latest research reveals new problems with drug testing, is available online at workrights.us. That's workrights.us. Out of New York City, cannabis and its active constituents appear to be safe and modestly effective treatments in patients suffering from a variety of chronic pain conditions, including neuropathy or pain due to nerve damage, according to literature reviewed and published in the Clinical Journal of Pain. An investigator from New York University Department of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation conducted a PubMed survey to search for the percentage of positive and negative published randomized controlled trials, or RCTs, assessing cannabinoids for treatments for pain. Of the 56 generated, 38 published RCTs that met inclusion criteria. Of those, 71%, or 27, concluded that cannabinoids had empirically demonstrable and statistically significant pain-relieving effects, whereas 29%, or 11, did not. Cannabinoids appear to be most effective in treating hard-to-treat neuropathic pain conditions. For notoriously difficult-to-treat conditions such as HIV neuropathy, cannabigergic pain medicines, particularly inhaled cannabinoid botanicals, are one of the only treatments that have been shown to be safe and effective with the highest levels of evidence, the review states. 5 of the 10% of the U.S. population is estimated to suffer from neuropathic pain at some point in their lives. The study concludes, quote, overall, based on the existing clinical trial database, cannabigergic pain medicines have been shown to be modestly effective and safe in treatment in patients with a variety of chronic pain conditions. Incorporating cannabigergic medicine topics into pain medicine education seems warranted in continuing clinical research, and empiric treatments trials are appropriate. A separate paper published in January in the Harm Reduction Journal concluded prescribing cannabis in place of opioids for neuropathic pain may reduce the morbidity and mortality rates associated with prescription pain medications and may be an effective harm reduction strategy. The full text of this study, Cannabigergic Pain Medicine, a concise clinical primer, and survey of random controlled trial results will appear in the Clinical Journal of Pain. Out of Denver, Colorado, many adolescent consumers of cannabis increase their use of alcohol and decrease their use of marijuana shortly after turning 21 years of age, according to data published in the Journal of Health Economics. A team of international investigators from the United States and Mexico estimated the causal effect of legal access to alcohol on marijuana consumption. They reported, quote, "Our results show that alcohol and marijuana are substitutes. At age 21, we observe a sharp increase in alcohol consumption and a decrease in marijuana consumption. Our estimate suggests that the minimum legal drinking age at 21 decreases the probability of having consumed alcohol the past 30 days by 16% and increases the probability of having consumed marijuana by 10%. This suggests that policies that restrict access to alcohol cause an increase in marijuana consumption," end quote. The author stated that this purported substitution effect is substantially stronger for women than men. They concluded, quote, "Our results show that legal access to alcohol causes a significant decrease in marijuana use among young adults close to the age of 21, end quote. Separate studies of older cannabis consumers in states with limited legal access to both marijuana and alcohol yield less consistent trends, with data indicating that many subjects that consume cannabis use reduced levels of alcohol or other intoxicating substances. For example, a 2011 study of qualified medicinal cannabis consumers in alcohol found that respondents' prevalence of alcohol use was significantly lower than that of the general population. Most recently, authors of the November 2011 Institute for the Study of Labor paper, Medical Marijuana Laws, Traffic Fatalities, and Alcohol Consumption, determined, quote, "The legalization of cannabis is associated with a nearly 9% decrease in traffic fatalities, most likely due to its impact on reduced alcohol consumption," end quote. The full text of this study, the effect of alcohol availability on marijuana use, evidence from the minimum legal drinking age, appears online in the Journal of Health Economics. That is the end of our Hemp News segment tonight. Now we're going to go over to Renee Kimball. Welcome to the show, Renee.
Thank you. I'm going to sing a song about, well, the names have been changed to protect the guilty. We're going to do a song about Earl Blumenauer, but I've even changed it to being a senator. So this is what happens when you ask somebody, a representative, about where they stand on the war on drugs and they don't answer. You get a musician who writes a song about it. It's called Finger in the Wind, oddly enough. I called my favorite senator to see what he would say about this thing called war on drugs that I heard of yesterday. Was he against, maybe for what the government was doing? I thought that since he's in the game, he would have an answer brewing. When a lady answered, what a shock, she gave the phone up to a man. I guess he was the manager and only he could tell the plan. But waffle after waffle was all I heard him say. And I kept asking different ways, hoping he would earn his pay. Jay, I thought politicians were elected by our race to stand up for each right we have and not throw them in our face. Now I've started wondering, and I'm having lots of doubt. If they don't back up how we vote, maybe we should vote them out. He said the senator's not for more use. Oh, well, there's a first class, duh. But what he said about Iraq made my head spin. I said, huh? He claimed that was an easy choice, against for sure. So why sidestep the war on drugs? Was it cause or was it cure? It seems that on this issue he just would not give a stance. And I was growing weary of this grand fence-sitting dance. He said he would send me a statement about where he stood on this policy war. But I've been waiting now over 2 years and it's never reached my door. Jay, I thought politicians were elected by our grace to stand up for each right we have and not throw them in our face. Now I've started wondering and I'm having lots of doubt. If they don't back up how we vote, maybe we should vote them out. So to this senator and all the rest who thinks blather fills the gap. You can't tell me your opinion. It means you view the truth as trap. You at best are representing. Give me something I can't quote. 'Cause if you can't tell me where you stand, you will never get my vote. 'Cause I thought politicians were elected by our race to stand up for each right we have, not throw them in our face. Now I'm no longer wondering, I really have no doubt. Well, so join hands and get them out and boot their backsides out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Renee Kimball. Great song. Wonderfully produced.
Fantastic. Great.
All right.
Message.
I'd like to welcome you to the show.
Hey,
You're Teresa Rayford, and you're running for Portland City Council.
That's right. I'm running for position 1 as city commissioner, which is currently being seated by Amanda Fritz.
I see. All right. And Casper, it's good to have you back, and welcome back, Don. You
Thanks,
are
Paul.
representing a couple of new petitions up in Washington State.
That's right.
They look like
We're
they're
gonna
very
get a-
similar. They both have the same name, but different numbers and different colors.
They are identical. One is a petition of the people that we hope to have on the ballot in November. If we fail to make that deadline by July 5th, we have until December 31st to qualify 514 to the legislature, and we'll likely vote on that next November.
Cool.
All right. So they'll be going to the November in Washington of 2013 then.
We feel confident that if we don't make it by July 5th, that we absolutely will make it by the 31st. You know, 502 is on the ballot. 514 is our insurance policy. If we can get 1223 and 514 qualified by July 5th, we'll both be on the ballot in November. Conventional wisdom in politics is when you've got two similar measures on, people basically vote them down in the way that they voted down the 2 alcohol bills 2 years ago in Washington. And as you may know, we just had a single issue with alcohol to sell it in the stores as opposed to state regulated stores. I mean, you know, just general supermarkets and such. And that passed. So if we take a loss on 1223, and unfortunately if 502 loses too, then we come right back. We got November, December, and then January. We'll be right back in front of the legislature.
Excellent.
All right.
Excellent.
So this issue is not going away. It's not going away in Washington, and we intend to give the people a chance. A lot of people were hoodwinked and thought they were signing for legalization. 502 is not legalization. 514 and 1223 both provide for a home grow. That is legalization. That is what will get cartels out of the business when we can all grow in our own homes for ourselves.
So you've got two initiatives. One of them has a deadline of July 5th, and the other one is December 31st.
Right. It's actually
And
the
do
6th,
they-
but we need a day to turn them in.
Okay. And then what is the number of signatures you need to qualify these?
We need 241,153. And that's based on 8% of what was in the last governor's vote. That number will change up or down depending on the number of people that vote in this year's governor's election.
But that will affect next year's petition drives, not
It'll
this
affect
year's.
Petitions for the next 4 years.
Right. Okay. All right. We are taking your questions and comments tonight. If you have a question or comment, you can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. And we do have a caller on the line. Welcome to the show, caller. Hello, caller. We cannot hear you. Hello, caller.
Yeah, I called Jim Gregg here.
Hey, so we've got Jim Gregg on from Eugene. How are you doing, Jim?
Pretty good. I just wanted to call in and tell you about the Ellen Rosenblum fundraiser dinner the other night. Hey,
Right.
how you doing, Casper? You missed it. You had tickets. Sorry,
I know.
bad. You
Well, they
get
didn't have to
see
pay
it.
for my meal.
Yeah, there was about 40 activists and dispensary owners and patrons there. Ellen raised about $4,000. She gave us a really good overview of what she'd be doing as Attorney General.
And
you'll mention that frequently between now and May 15th, because the primaries are the final decision for our Attorney General.
Yeah, we only have the Democratic primary since no Republican is running for state Attorney General. So we definitely are supporting Ellen Rosenblum. She supports our medical marijuana law, and so we'll do everything we can to help her get elected.
All right, keep up your good work. I'll let you get on with your show, Paul.
All right, thank you. If you have a question out there for us tonight, you can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. We'll be taking your calls right up the top of the hour. So, Teresa, you're running for position 1 in the city commissioner's race.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about your positions on your election.
Well, right now I've been invited to most of the forums that Mary and Amanda have been in, and there's actually 5 people that are running, so that puts me in the top 10%, which means I'm basically competitive. I've done forums with them at the Unitarian Church, at Concordia, at Portland State, and at all of those forums, the audience, the general public, is gravitating to me because my platform is knowledge, resource, resolution. I believe that when you're sitting on the city council and you're supposed to be representative of the city and the people that live in the city, you need to be more engaged with those people, and you need to empower them with knowledge so that they can have you make the decisions on their behalf that actually benefit them when you go up for those policy changes and, legislation. Things that happen in the city council directly represent what happens in our communities.
And you got more experience for this job than your opponents do.
Absolutely.
Tell them about that.
Right. To me, I'm not a politician. I'm from the general public, but I think it's time for us to get political. But I actually have a business. My business partner is a CPA, and what we do is we do business management, development, and accounting. We do, and most of the issues that have happened on our city council are misbudgeted. It's like they're allocating funds for research that has supposedly already been done before they put the federal money that they get into funding people's paychecks and ribbon cutting ceremonies. And again, that's taken away from our livability and sustainability. If you're not basically a partner or a preferred vendor within their local partnerships and businesses and alliances, you're likely to be turned away at the door for not being able to get through their rules of engagement. So as a city commissioner, I basically want to be able to work directly with the city. Whenever there's policies or benefits or opportunities that are coming into the city of Portland, I want to be the one that basically helps develop those relationships for the general public, because if you hear about it after it happens on the news, then you don't get a direct benefit, and you still pay the tax for being a resident.
Plus, you've already worked with large groups of people and handled large projects in the past.
Absolutely.
And so it'd just be a natural for you, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would be. I had a meeting with Tom and Bob and those guys over at OMPA, which is Oregon Media Production Association. They bring all the movies here, Graham and Portlandia and all that, and because I have an entertainment company that spans 222 countries, and we do film industry projects, we do music, we do concerts, promotions, all kinds of stuff. But with our company, we manage their business. So I know how to deal with blueprints. And so meeting with those guys, they saw the direct benefit because they knew my network. They were like, oh, wow, we just made $115 million here in the city, but they're not helping us the way they need to. And what can you do as a commissioner to help that? And instead of an interview, I basically did a consult with them.
There you go.
I basically consulted them on things that they can do directly and right now, and they love me. They're like, no, you dropped the ball. You should have ran for mayor. And I'm like, well, I'm just a businesswoman, and I'm from Portland. I grew up here, and I understand the dynamics of how to get us progressive, because that's what we say we are. So
and that's another thing. You were born and raised in this town.
We gotta be it.
So you're gonna hug this town with all your spirit.
I love it. I was born here.
Absolutely.
My parents, I'm 4 generations Portlanders, so
All right.
it's just a benefit to me to be a valuable asset. Me too.
So, number 1 position, is that a region of the city of Portland, or
No,
is that voted on citywide in the city of Portland?
There's basically bureaus that are given to each person that runs on the city commissioner's office. Like Nick Fish does housing and parks. The mayor does the police department and transportation. And so the departments that I want is the Department of Neighborhood Involvement, our Communications and Technology Department, our Bureau of Equity and Humanity, our Human Rights Commission, and our Business and Economics. I'm great in business. I love, blueprints. It's like everything's relative to me when it comes to products, services, and fees. And so basically what I've been saying is I want Portland to be my client.
There
It's
you
already
go.
my home, so.
Make Portland your client. I like that. That should be your campaign slogan.
So we are have a phone call. Welcome to our show, caller. Hello, caller.
Yeah, this is Terry.
Hey, Terry.
Yes, hello?
Howdy.
Hi.
Yeah, there's a 6-second delay on your
so-
television, so turn off your TV and listen to your phone.
Okay. So the Obama administration, campaigned last time to that they would not do the same type of federal enforcement, but they've continued at a higher rate of raids than the Bush administration. How can we pressure the government? What are some things, the federal government, to allow our Oregon laws to be in effect?
Well, of course, there are several things you can do. One is to lobby our elected officials in Washington, including the president's office. Of course, that's not much, but one of the biggest things you can do, of course, is we have an initiative to legalize adult use of marijuana, legalize the sale of marijuana to adults, and legalize unregulated industrial hemp for fuel, fiber, and food. There's an initiative on the ballot in Colorado. Don here is pushing initiatives for Washington State. There's another one on the ballot there. So basically, we can send a message by putting our Oregon Cannabis Tax Act initiative on the ballot and winning the election. So that's one good thing we could do to help that. But basically, it's traditional methods of lobbying in contacting our elected officials and going there and letting them know that we disagree with this. 2 weeks ago, when they raided Oakster Dam in Oakland, California, the residents of the city came out en masse and protested while they were doing the raid on this business. And so that's another way to effectively demonstrate our opposition to what the government's trying to do in prohibiting cannabis. So those are a few of my ideas, and I'm sure there's some others out there. So maybe some of our callers over the next half hour can raise some others.
I want to see them pour out the streets like they did back in the 60s and be marching in demonstrations at the White House and at the Capitol and at Congress steps, and make certain that every city, every major city across the United States has every weekend thousands of people pouring out in demonstration to ending this war on drugs. But I don't know why that hasn't happened yet. But if we can make that happen, I think that would really get a lot of people to stand up and pay attention.
Absolutely.
You don't hear the local media saying anything about how the federal government's coming in and trying to just take over our laws. Like, it's really frustrating. There's no local, coverage about the amount of raids that are happening.
Well, that, and I've gotten some reports from people who do truck driving for a living, and they are beginning to see more and more military personnel along our highways in Wyoming, Idaho, Ohio, West Virginia, and they are military personnel who are actually pulling over or involved in civilian pullovers, and it's becoming, and you don't hear about that on the news either. That's a very quiet thing that's occurring, and I've only gotten those reports from people who truck drive for a living and go coast to coast.
Great. Yeah, it's frustrating. Well, thanks for your suggestions.
All right. Well, thanks for your call. If you have a question or comment for us, you can call us. Here it is Friday night, the 13th of April, 2012. This is show number 631. Yeah. And you can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. We currently have an initiative in circulation. We're trying to hire petitioners. You can make pretty good money if you can go out and gather signatures. If you're looking for a job, or you want to print out our petition online and sign it and mail it in to us, or make a contribution, there's a couple of ways to reach us. One's through our website, which is cannabistaxact.org. That's cannabistaxact.org. And you can call us at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. If you don't have a computer and printer and can't print it out, give us a call. We'd be happy to send you one. Or you can come into our office at 2712 Northeast Sandy Boulevard. So we have a film clip. We're going to run a very brief film clip here. So stay tuned, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Willie Nelson, and I urge you to support the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act to regulate marijuana and restore industrial hemp. This initiative will end adult marijuana prohibition and let our criminal justice officers focus limited resources on real criminals and not on marijuana users like me. OCTA will also allow farmers to grow hemp for fuel, fiber, and food, to create jobs and help our economy. Please support OCTA. Thank you.
All the information out in a small period of time.
Okay, so that's Willie Nelson urging you to support the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act petition. Once again, if you'd like job petitioning or you want us to mail you a petition, call us at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. You can print out our single signature petition sheet, fill out our volunteer form, or make a donation on our website at cannabistaxact.org. That's cannabistaxact.org. Or if you can't spell cannabis, just put in OCTA2012.org. We find a lot of people misspell cannabis.
I just spelled it P-O-T.
I see.
Makes it easier that way, really.
We have another phone caller, though. Let's take the call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hey,
hello.
Paul.
Hey.
How you doing?
Very well. How are you?
Not too bad. I just wanted to let you know I appreciate for all the good work you guys are doing out there.
Thank
and
you.
I love Gasper. Thank you for all your good work you've done out there. I like listening to your show every Friday night as soon as I can. So I just wanted to let you know that, and we'll talk to you later, Paul, and you have yourself a good day.
All right. Well, thanks for calling.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night, too. So we have a little bit of a show and tell segment here tonight. Let's see if we can get our cameras to focus in on this. This is a $10 bill back in the day, which this is a 1914 era $10 bill. They had Andrew Jackson on there. Of course, he's on the $20 bill today. It's significantly larger than a regular modern $10 bill. And there's a couple reasons I'm showing this to you tonight. One is it's signed by Andrew Mellon. He was the Secretary of Treasury. Andrew Mellon was the head of Standard Oil and the uncle of the father of marijuana prohibition, Harry Anslinger. But that's not the main reason I'm going to show it to you, because when we flip it over on the back, right here, they're harvesting hemp. They actually have hemp being harvested along with industrial production right here on the $10 bill, circa 1914. So you can see the horses and little machine picking up the bundles of hemp fiber. There, I got the reflection off. And so hemp production was so important to our nation that they show this right here on our currency, the $10 bill, along with the corporations making a factory there. But the main thing I want to show you, of course, is this hemp harvester picking up the bundles of hemp fiber here on the 1914 $10 bill.
So, Paul, you
Right.
have to say that hemp was right on the money.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Absolutely. Oh, I like that. That's
Then
good.
we have this nifty bottle. It has what's called a label under glass for fluid or extract of cannabis. This is what you'd go into a pharmacy and they'd pour a little bit of this out. And you can see that the pharmacist put an old label on the back of this from Park Davis for a cannabis extract. So this is dated 1922. The date stamped right there on the label. So there's another little piece of hemp history. It's double labeled. The pharmacist put the label on the back of his own apothecary bottle, and on the front of the bottle is this label under glass, a pretty good specimen actually. And so the bottle definitely is older than the 1922 label on the back. You can't really date the bottle exactly, but before 1922. So that's the end of our brief show and tell segment for tonight. We do have another caller on the show. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello?
Yeah, howdy.
Okay, how's it going?
Mellow.
Pretty well.
All right. I called you guys a few months back, and I was talking to you guys about traveling and TSA. And I was saying that the TSA out of Eugene told me to put it in a quart-size reclosable bag, and that's as much as I can take. I've taken a few more flights since then and got a little bit more correct information from the head of state security out of Portland. And I said, look, this time I got to travel for a surgery. This little quart thing is not going to help me. I need to take my limit as a patient. And he was like, there's no problem with that. Like, I thought before what TSA told me to do was correct. And he said, no, that's incorrect. And they told me to take it out of your carry-on and put it on the conveyor belt in front of people's view. I didn't think that was right. I didn't like doing it, but I followed their rules. And he was basically head of Portland state security. He said, no, that's absolutely what you do not want to do. You don't want other people to see it. This is something private. He said you're allowed to take your limit. They do want you to take it in your carry-on. There's no specific way that they want you could vacuum seal it. The people told me before that they need to have access to it in case they need to have access, so it has to be resealable. So that is not true. The correct way is you could take your limit as a patient, and it's up to you how you want to package it. I use turkey bags. And I didn't even have time to pack that much. I actually got pulled over on the way from Eugene to the airport in Portland, and the state trooper kind of was like, "What? I smell marijuana." I said, "Look, I'm a medical patient. I'm late. I'm on a schedule. I got to go." And it was one of those days. It was about eight. It was before the state office was open. I had just renewed my card and turned it into the window of the state office. Before they closed that window, on March 5th. It was February 15th when I did it.
Yeah.
I paid. I was there in person. I know it's good. He was saying that he checked in. It was not coming up good. He said he was going to take it. I told him that's not going to happen. And basically after about 15 minutes of him calling his superior, they just said, let him go. You know, he's got a flight. Let him go. The stamp is on there. It says they took my $100. That's something else with the state. But he was telling me, I don't understand what you're doing. You know, he said, where are you going? I didn't want to tell him, but I told him, look, it's a state where they don't accept it. But this is my life, you know. I need this medication. I don't care. I'm going to have to do it. So by the time, you know, he told me the repercussions of what could happen, which I'm already aware of. And, you know, he told me he didn't understand what was going on. He didn't know. A lot of the, state enforcement don't know the limit. I told him I have a little bit less than my limit, and he was asking me if that was 2 or 3 pounds. And I asked him, do you not know the limit? And he said no. So I told him, look, this, you know, 1.5 pounds is the limit, and I don't have that. I'm close to it. I'm not over it. And at the end, he was very nice. He let me go. I went to the airport. What you want to do is when you get in line at the airport, you ask for the in-charge Leo, law enforcement officer, while you're waiting in line to go through TSA. And usually they're around. There's somebody of some, you know, authorization over there, and the TSA lets them know. And basically I kept it in my carry-on. The TSA was aware of it. They were talking to each other while I was waiting in line. And they kind of, you know, pointed me out, and it went through, and I had no problem. So I just wanted to let you know I found a little bit more out. And
well, great. I'm glad you shared that with us. Now, you know, I fly a lot, and I always fly with cannabis, and I have my medical permit, of course. I usually just stick it in my carry-on bags, and they never becomes an issue. The couple of times in years past, they brought down some other officials, checked my card, and then they let me go. So out of probably 200 flights, I've had that happen twice, so about 1%.
Okay, but do you tell them while you're going through that you have it, or you?
No, I don't tell them.
Okay.
Just go on
and
through.
I have one question for you guys. What is the Death with Dignity Act paperwork? I have it, and I don't quite understand it. It's from the Chief of Police in Portland from 2007, Roseanne M. Sizer.
Well, the Death with Dignity thing, you've got to have 2 doctors who agree you're within 6 months of passing away. And then you have to be able to take these drugs yourself, either orally or through a feeding tube. You have to be able to administer it yourself. And so you have to be within 6 months, have 2 doctors who agree you're have a disease that's going to cause you to die within 6 months. And then you can take advantage of that. And I think about 50 people, on average, 50 Oregonians a year actually avail themselves of that law. And a number larger than that apply, but they die naturally and never take the drugs themselves.
That's sad.
I hope you don't have to do that.
Upheld in court?
Say that again?
Has it actually upheld in
Oh, yeah,
any
yeah.
kind of
It's
court?
been upheld in federal court. It's been in place for over 15 years.
Oh, okay.
It would have been good for our drug czar to have Dr. Kevorkian as his personal physician.
Okay.
Just saying.
All right.
Well, I appreciate your guys' time and all your guys' hard work, and keep fighting the good fight. And
All right. Thank you, and good luck with your condition. And thanks for sharing your travails there with cannabis at the airport.
I feel it's my duty.
If you have a question for us tonight, we got about 15 minutes left. You can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. So, Don, you want to tell us a little bit more about what the Cannabis Child Protection Act will do in the state of Washington?
Well, absolutely.
How will it protect our
And
kids?
how people can get in touch with you? That's another.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to get the website out. It's cannabischildprotectionact.org. For the spelling impaired, you can go to yeson1223.org or yeson514.org. And Paul, just so you know, we've got a lot of grassroots support. We actually had a benefactor who has printed up 10,000 each of these sheets. That's enough for 200,000 signatures. So that's why they look so nice. We did have amateur hour to start us out, but this has been a very kind donation to the campaign. And what we're doing is, because we're running them concurrently, we're hoping to qualify them both at once. We're doing them back to back. And basically, we ask people to sign one, sign the other. And then the question becomes, well, we know that you know people that would sign this that aren't here right now. And much as you have the single sheet, these are 20 sheets. And we're working on a 4-signature sheet right now that people can just take home, sign in the privacy of their own homes and mail back. But we have been, as I did with your campaign, getting these out to access points in Washington. People are very upset with the 502 proposal. They want this on the ballot. It
has been very controversial,
it's been very
because of
contentious.
the 5 nanogram blood limit that they impose.
There's no home grow. I mean, the 5 nanogram
and
limit.
a 1 ounce limit on possession.
Yeah, which is actually a step down from the 40 ounce 40 gram or under misdemeanor that we have now. It'll be a felony above 28 grams. And again, no home grow. So this is hardly legalization. And the tax proposal they have is 25% at the grower, 25% at the processor, and 25% at the end point, the distribution point. That's going to take a $10 gram up to $39.55, which our campaign feels is only going to embolden the black market to raise their prices. The other campaign proposes to sell it through state licensed stores. The proposal 5073 that was done legislatively, that was stricken out by our governor because she's afraid that...
she lied and vetoed out all the good proposals and left the bad ones
kept
there.
The bad stuff. What a surprise.
Right.
But
Washington's
our concern
Governor
in Washington
Gregoire.
is that right now we don't have that bright line of who can provide and who cannot. And we're concerned that if
really,
this
Colorado is the only place that allows commercial places that has that bright line.
Right.
And then there are new ones spring up in Arizona, New Mexico, Maine, and as we read at the top of the story, Washington, D.C., quite ironically, while the feds came in and busted Oakster Dam in Oakland, California, new dispensaries were opening in Washington, D.C. the very same day.
The very same day.
And one of the things that I've been told about the one that's on the ballot now in Washington, or they're trying to get up there, is the people who are involved with it might be more self-serving, more interested and what their pockets might be lined up with, and what maybe might even be involved with the government, might make it a little easier for the government to just like arrest people and fine people and take money. And people don't really seem to think it's going to benefit the marijuana user, the medical marijuana user, or the grower.
We honestly think it's going to hurt medical patients. Well, first of all, 5 nanograms is not a consistent indicator of impairment in the manner that 0.08 is for alcohol.
Yeah, it's
They've
a lot
thrown
different.
that number out there. That number was actually rejected by Colorado last year. And, you know, in the news today, Paul, I got to say, all that research is awesome. I can only imagine what this country would look like if they had allowed research over the past 80 years.
Yeah, our fuel would be on it, all our plastics and clothes would be made out of it. And that's what we're trying to do. If you're an Oregon viewer, I urge you to support our Oregon Cannabis Tax Act. You can find it at that address there below that website, or call us at 503-235-4606. We have another caller, though. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hi.
Howdy. Hey.
This is Steve, and I just wanted to call to remind people, or if they didn't know, to let them know that Mark Emery and Eddie Lepp are still in jail, and we really need to do something to support them and try and get them out. And just
your shirt,
a short.
Free
I just
Mark
wanted
Emery.
to make a short reminder to everyone to please put pressure on the Canadian government and the American government to let these people go. These are our heroes, and we should be doing everything we can to help them out. And if you need more information about Eddie Lepp, go to theweedblog.com, and you can find out how you can help. You can support Eddie. And thank you very much.
Awesome. We have Mrs. Emery on the program on Time for Hemp a couple of times a month to help keep a spotlight on her husband's needs. And we also bring on Linda Lepp and the people who are working with Eddie Lepp's camp to keep his name in the forefront so people know how to write him. And there's 2 other people that Paul and I are just really agitated about. There are a lot of people, but Molly Fry and her husband just
Dale
really
Schaefer,
got
also serving 5-year sentences.
Railroad down the street in a kangaroo court. So they're the POWs. Remember, send them a letter, send them a little love in an envelope. They're wondering why it is that they're being forgotten while we're out here on the front lines. Please let them know that just because they touched the plant does not mean that you've left them, you've turned your back on them, and you're waiting for them to come out with open arms. It's lonely behind bars, and those snail mail letters really mean a lot.
Yeah, you know,
I just want to make sure everyone remembers and does not forget to support Eddie and Mark.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Well, Mark is pretty much a sacrificial lamb at this point. You know, he did have to take a plea deal in order to protect others in his group. And he's already had 1 review where he could have been repatriated to Canada. It's not Canada that has the problem.
It's the United States.
Canada will take him back.
No, they won't. No. Jody said that the United States will give them back, but Canada doesn't want them back.
Wow, I'm surprised to hear that because I had heard the opposite. That
you're Canadian,
the
right?
United States. Yeah, I am Canadian, but I do have to suffer under the laws that we.
Well, that's from Jody's
live
mouth.
Under.
That's from Jody's mouth.
All right.
Well, I'll have to talk to her again next time I go up in Canada.
We have another brief PSA. We're going to run one more time, so we'll be back in less than a minute.
Hi, I'm Willie Nelson, and I urge you to support the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act to regulate marijuana and restore industrial hemp. This initiative will end adult marijuana prohibition and let our criminal justice officers focus limited resources on real criminals and not on marijuana users like me. OCTA will also allow farmers to grow hemp for fuel, fiber, and food to create jobs and help our economy. Please support OCTA. Thank you.
There's Willie Nelson. We thank him very much for helping us with our campaign.
And what I understand,
we actually got a sizable cash contribution from Willie Nelson this past week. He contributed $5,600 to our campaign
and I
to help us pay petitioners. Thank you, Willie.
And it's my understanding we're going to have Willie on Time for Hemp Live, and we're going to find out why it is that Willie wants to see this plant re-legalized, why the farmers need to be able to use it for a cash crop. Willie's eager to come on to the program and talk about that to the people who say, why is Willie involved with the Oregon Act when he's from another part of the world?
Well, you know, Willie has ownership of Sequential Oil. He's a large shareholder in the biodiesel company Sequential Oil, so he's an Oregon employer, and he's amongst other things. And he was a DJ here in Portland. He was a DJ on KUPL Country Music Station from 1959 to 1962, just before he started his songwriting career.
And he's like your smart grandfather who knows more things than you ever realize. And when you sit down and listen to Willie talk about why we need to end prohibition, you just know there's no other.
He's a really nice guy.
Yeah, we got to.
Hey, Teresa, now you're running for the city commissioner office in the city council, and so it's the Democratic primary you're running in, though, right?
Well, it's nonpartisan, but
it's nonpartisan. So that's coming up here in May, right?
That's May 15th is the election date. We've been running since September 8th, and so it's been a long road, but I'm excited that May is coming up.
So tell us more about how we can find out more about your campaign and get people in touch with that, and to vote yes on or vote for you for position 1 on the city council.
Okay, well, first, basically get your knowledge. Go to my website. It's teresaforportland.com. I'm also.
And so that's spelled T-E.
Yep. T-E-R-E-S-S-A.
So
F-O-R-P-O-R-T-L-A-N-G.
Okay, 2 S's in Teresa.
That's right.
Okay.
Teresa.
Teresa. Okay.
And so you can go to teresaforportland.com. You can also find me on Facebook. It's Rayford for PDX on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. It's Rayford for PDX on Twitter as well, and YouTube. So we have videos and all kinds of good stuff. And
Rayford is R-A-I-F-O-R-D.
That's right, like a Ford truck.
And people can make a donation to your campaign, can't they?
Yes, they can actually do that on the site. There's an endorse page, and there's also a donation page. But check out the information on there. I'm pretty clear in my platform, and I'll be in the Oregonian on the 22nd.
And like Paul needs people to come out and help get signatures. You need people to get out and campaign for you?
Absolutely. I need people I need people to make sure that once they get their ballot, they make their decision. They have until probably the end of this month before they get the ballots mailed out. They're already online on OregonOnline.com. But it's basically the profile. It's the same stuff that you'll see on my site, except for it's a little bit more. And I talk to people on Facebook. I'm running these status updates all day. I speak to everybody that's talking to me. I answer questions. I have a lot of people.
And you've been a proponent of medical marijuana.
Absolutely.
And helping.
I'm the provider for my father.
I see.
Yeah,
I see.
He has a lot of diseases. He's dying, and I mean, this is the only thing that helps him take his medication. And not to mention, being in the culture, you meet a lot of different people that have their needs and their necessity, and it comes to me as not only a profitable enterprise like what they're having in Colorado, but at the same time, it's helping the people that need it. If you're helping put money back into the schools, which are currently being closed left and right, teachers are working without contracts, all of our budgets are basically taken away from our livability. Let's go ahead and make sure that we use every resource that we have.
All right. Well, I wish you great success in your campaign. Don, we've got about a minute for you to talk about the Cannabis Child Protection Act.
CannabisChildProtectionAct.org. You can read the initiatives. You cannot legalize marijuana in the law. All you can do is remove the penalties. That way you don't conflict with federal law. We find that if we're going to make marijuana regular between adults over 21, there should be no reason that any adult should transact with any child. Parents in Washington are concerned that their kids are involved with cannabis. They want them to be fully formed and make their own decisions when they're mature enough. We allow a 400 square foot grow, which is basically 20 by 20. We provide, thank you, Paul, for the federal non-cooperation. Thank you for the Attorney General defending the act. And we've actually make it a misdemeanor for our state officials to cooperate with the federal government on issues that would not be a crime under Washington law. That'll allow us to still cooperate on international and interstate commercial transactions, but free up adults to transact cannabis as they see fit. Check us out again. That's the CannabisChildProtectionAct.org, YesOn1223.org, or YesOn514.org. It all takes you to the same place. We need volunteers. We need donations. And we need to go viral. Get this out to your friends and neighbors. As Paul says, our campaign will also mail you sheets if you need them. We're here to help each other. Let's get this done.
And I urge you to support our Oregon Cannabis Tax Act. If you need help getting our petition, or you're looking for a doctor to help you get medical marijuana, we have doctors all across the United States who can do that. Just call us at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. I want to thank you for coming on, Casper.
Great pleasure.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you,
Always
Don.
a pleasure, Paul.
And we'll see you folks next week. And help us restore hemp. Good night. And here's Renee Kimball with a closing tune.
This is Pills for Your Ills by Robert Hoyt. My great Aunt Pauline had so many pills, it was a sight. Yellow ones and pink ones, polka dotted black and white. Tablets and capsules stacked up to the sky. She never forgot to take one, but could not remember why. They've got pills for your ills to make you feel alright. Pills to take in morning time, pills to take at night. Pills to make you happy, pills for when you're sad. Pills to make you sane again when you're gonna start raving mad. Well, Dad was getting up in years, and he would get lost on his way out to the mailbox. Them busy streets he crossed. So they gave him pills that calmed him down too much, I feel. I don't know why they could not just let that man drink beer. They've got pills for your ills to make you feel alright. Pills to take in morning time, pills to take at night. Pills to make you happy, pills for when you're sad.